The 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Um, that was this is a really good thing for F1 that we finally got a non-Mercedes win, I would say.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I'd say it's the best possible thing that could have happened. Because Mercedes won every single race of the year. I think I might stop watching.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was I think this was probably one of Verstappen's best drives he's ever shown.
Yeah.
Um I really think it was a championship winning like a championship level drive. To be able to go that long on hards and still maintain the pace against the Mercedes, which is arguably or is definitely a better car, and then to still have the pace over Bottas when he went onto the mediums on the second stint, also shows like such good sort of racecraft.
Yeah. I was watching it and I just loved how much he wanted the race win, if that makes sense. For example, when the team asked him to pull back, and conserve like manage the tires and stuff, he was just like, "This is the only chance I'll probably ever have to like race the Mercedes. Like I'm not letting this go." So
Yeah,
when I heard that, I was just like, "All right, this guy really wants to win," and I guess I guess we should. I can respect that. Like
yeah,
I feel like a lot of not a lot of, but like a decent amount of drivers would be more content just to stay behind them, the Mercedes, and just be like, oh, we can't catch them. But like Max was definitely like, yeah, we can win.
yeah. I find it really funny how Red Bull basically did a Mercedes strategy on Mercedes by um just catching them blind on
Mm,
the tires, because Red Bull have been caught out by Mercedes doing that so many times,
yeah,
like at Hungary last year,
almost.
Hungary this year arguably.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Um, I feel like it was such like everyone seemed to knew what was Verstappen was going to do, but Mercedes didn't react to it at all going through the whole weekend. Like I feel like it was pretty open that Verstappen was going to start on the hard tires, and
mm.
then Mercedes didn't have anything to react to. So that was a bit weird for me.
Yeah, I feel like it should be common knowledge that he'll start on the harder compound tire, um, most likely because he's done it a couple times now where he goes on like where he normally used to go on like the mediums and stuff. For example, like the first race, he went on the mediums. I don't know if he could have won that race, but like it would have been interesting to see where he would have landed. Um, yeah, I feel like Mercedes should be more aware. Um, did they start on the soft tire or the mediums or the hard?
I'm pretty sure that they started on the medium. Yeah,
Yeah, that
it
is.
seems like nobody really touched the soft tire this weekend.
Mm,
Kind of similar to Hungary. I think because of the softer compound tires, just people were avoiding
yeah,
that tire.
yeah. After like the the explosions of like the British Grand Prix, they're just a bit like, oh, we don't want anything to do with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can appreciate that.
Um. So I think what I said last, um, what I said before about sort of having the softer compound tires and how it will be better for races to have softer compound tires. This race demonstrates exactly why I think that we need the softer compounds, because it adds extra variables into the race where it's not necessarily just about lap to lap performance, it's also about how you can deal with the degradation and how you can change your strategy based on like how the track conditions are and the temperature and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like tire management, pit stop strategies are more important, are significantly more important with these compounds or specifications of the tires. Obviously, it does help that the best team has a very difficult time managing tires, so it might like close in. Everyone else might be able to like catch up a little. So
Yeah.
I think that's like I think that's the main reason everyone's like, yeah, we want these tires. But I feel like 2-stop, 3-stop strategy should be in Formula One more often rather than just a 1-stop go strategy.
Yeah.
Regardless. Yeah.
Yeah. Verstappen came out and said that he thinks it's going to be harder if we have like what we had in Austria and what we had in the British Grand Prix. It's going to be a lot harder for teams to catch up if it is that simple. Go on the mediums, go on the hards, that sort of thing. Simply because the Red Bulls will never be able to match the race pace of Ferrari, so they need that extra factor of being able to sort of, by being behind, that they can take extra risks with the strategy and maybe get extra pace from their strategy, like we saw this weekend.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of annoying that this is how they have to win. Even though it is like a 100% like their win, you have to give credit and stuff, but like they have to do like something crazy with the strategy or like just have better tire management. I feel like we'd be in just a better position if like people could just win like any race, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that is the ideal, but if we can't get that right now before 2022,
yeah, I'll take this.
It's a better compromise to just have. Yeah,
I'll definitely take this.
Yeah. But yeah, generally I really think that Mercedes, even though we're saying that, I feel like Mercedes definitely could have won this race anyway. Like, I don't feel like it was a definite Verstappen win if we went again with the knowledge that we have now. I feel like Mercedes would win.
I don't know. They always manage to do something insane.
Yeah.
I guess maybe do like a 3-stop and just go all out on the tires. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Or like,
yeah,
and just try and chase this guy down. Because I feel like the Mercedes definitely could catch up enough. Like, how do I just say this? I feel like a Mercedes definitely could cover a pit stop over the Red Bull.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
if they started on the hard tire.
Yeah, I feel like the gap is.
They probably could.
Yeah, I feel like the gap is that ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like the front of the race was really interesting. Overall the midfield was quite close, but I wouldn't say anything really major happened.
Yeah.
You notice anything else?
Nah, nothing apart from like the obvious that we'll cover soon.
Yeah. One quick thing, so like sort of like halfway through the race, we saw Albon fighting Gasly. That was quite interesting to see, I guess, because last year we used to see Gasly in the Red Bull fighting Albon and Kvyat. So it's kind of like something I want to talk about is like it's the same story again with Albon this year that we've had with other Red Bull drivers, where it's like if it's not perfect, people just are jumping to the assumption that there's a major problem with Albon and he needs to be like swapped out with someone.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like his performance isn't like perfect or anything. It might be like slightly below average of like what they're expecting, in the sense that like I don't know how many, he just hasn't been able to get into Q3 consistently. I feel like he should be in the top 10, or like he should definitely be in the top 5 minimum. Since he has this.
Yeah.
Okay, Racing Point maybe like every other race may like pull something out, but I feel like the Red Bull is like the more consistent car. I'd say it's the second best car at most races. Racing Point might be like second best car at like certain races, for example. But yeah, I feel like if it was Kvyat or Gasly, they would be in the same position as Albon right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're all on like a similar level. Obviously, Kvyat might have got like podiums in the past, but he's not like significantly better than either of the two, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Gasly, I would say, is performing really well this season. I've like really been impressed by him, like the way he's been able to bounce back.
Yeah.
I feel like whenever he's been in that Toro Rosso or AlphaTauri car, he's always pulled out these really good performances. For example, like Bahrain, a couple of years ago, he got 4th place, I believe.
Yeah.
He's had a podium in Brazil. Albon has been unlucky. He should have had like a couple podiums now, but like I feel like all 3 of them are like on a similar level, but with the car they have, there should be like a gap in between them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like Albon,
yeah, what were you gonna say?
I said Albon, the only thing he really needs to improve on is his qualifying pace, and once he gets that qualifying down like to a T, and he's consistently qualifying like around 4th or 5th, I feel like he'll definitely be doing really well in the races, because he's starting 12th or whatever, and he's coming 5th. So if he just sorts out that qualifying, he'll definitely put himself in a better position.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with what you said about Gasly. I really think that he's been going under the radar this year. Like, he's been putting in some really good performances with that car. I also feel like Daniel Kvyat has been underperforming in that car.
Yeah, I feel like he's been a bit unlucky though.
A little bit, yeah. Like, obviously he had the crash last weekend, and sometimes the strategy has been a bit off. But I feel like Gasly has been completely outperforming Kvyat, especially in qualifying.
Yeah. That's the main difference.
But so yeah, that is like one question, because like there's like drivers like Yuki Tsunoda in F2 and Juri Vips in Super Formula, and they could definitely see them coming into F1 with AlphaTauri next year. But the problem with the F1, like the Red Bull driver program, fundamentally is that ever since they've made like so many decisions that have just sown this sort of toxic culture where it's like, if there's like an element that's like not fitting properly, it's like, oh, we just have to swap out the driver, and then it's like everything will be perfect after we swap out this driver, and then it goes well. Like, the second half of last year went really well for Albon, but then it's sort of gotten to this phase where it's like not going as well as it was before. I kind of feel like that happened to a certain extent with Gasly. Like, he was performing really well in 2018 at Toro Rosso. He came into Red Bull, and then it was okay, and then it slowly started to fade away. But realistically, because this has happened like with Gasly before, and it's happening with Albon now again, I feel like there is a problem with that Red Bull car. I feel like it's quite an unstable car, especially in the low speed, and I just feel like it's completely tuned to Verstappen's driving style. Yeah. So I don't think any other driver could, like even Lewis Hamilton would even be able to match him, because that Mercedes is so different in terms of driving style to the Red Bull.
Yeah, I feel like in preseason and winter testing and stuff, I feel like they just disregard what the other driver says and they just listen to whatever Max is saying because that is their guy, I guess. And just like Max is like, oh, it has understeer here, 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 and then this guy could be like, oh, yeah, it's perfect, and they just be like, oh no, we're changing it,
Yeah,
just to like make Max happy. Obviously, I don't know. There is like with this Red Bull program, like AlphaTauri and Red Bull, both them teams, it is kind of interesting how there is like it's like a pyramid now where like Verstappen's at the top and the other three are just like at the same level. Um, Obviously, I feel like is this season is like the season where those three are just fighting for whoever gets to sit in the seat with Verstappen before the new wave comes in of Red Bull drivers,
yeah,
because every few years there's always like a new wave of like new drivers at like Toro Rosso or now AlphaTauri, and they just kick out like whoever was in there. We saw that happen with Al Ghashwari and Buemi when they weren't able to progress any further. They just got kicked out.
yeah. And it happened in with like Kvyat and Verne in 2014. Like obviously one went up to Red Bull and one got kicked out. So then they brought in two new Toro Rosso drivers.
Yeah, so like I feel like these guys, I don't know if they feel the pressure, but there is definitely pressure to like get a move on and really start to
Yeah,
like perform. Obviously, I feel like Gasly is getting the best out of the car. Kvyat might there might be a little bit more left for him to get out of the car. He has
yeah,
like outperformed Gasly at like some races, but like not enough for it to be like, oh, this guy is the guy to be next to Max or whatever.
yeah,
It's interesting how all three of them have been in the Red Bull car at one point, but they've all like not all underperformed because I feel like they've all had different types of stints at Red Bull or different performances. Where, for example, Gasly was just horrible at Red Bull. Like, just if I'm being 100% honest, and Albon has been solid. Kvyat has had the best performances out of all of them at the red in that Red Bull car, in the sense that he's had a few podiums and stuff, but he's been the most
yeah.
inconsistent.
And I would also say that that was a different era of F1 that he
Yeah,
was in the Red Bull car.
yeah. So I feel like it is very interesting, like how that what these guys are gonna do, or Helmut Marko's gonna do. I feel like
Yeah,
if I feel like in maybe 2 years you'll not see two of those drivers in F1.
yeah. I think that Kvyat was basically was drafted back in as a stopgap because the Red Bull driver program was basically like a wasteland for last year and the year before. There's the same story with Brendan Hartley as well. So I think that he like Kvyat's days are numbered in F1 because um I think there's a lot of pressure from Honda to get Yuki Tsunoda into AlphaTauri, just to have a Japanese driver in there. Um and Tsunoda has been doing quite well in F2. I guess it's just a question of super license points, which has always plagued Red Bull ever since they brought in the super license regulations. They've never been able to get a driver in there a young driver that has enough super license points. It was the same with Dan Ticktum as well. They just couldn't get enough points for him. But that was obviously a direct consequence. That whole regulation of the super license points was a direct consequence of them like drafting in Verstappen at 17 after like one season in Formula 3.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I think Red Bull are basically just trying to prioritize everything into Verstappen right now,
yeah,
to get a drivers' world championship. So I'm not too sure if they are actually really that concerned about the other three drivers overall.
yeah. I will agree with that. Um, yeah. Who would you pick to be by the end of this little saga or whatever to be Max's partner? teammate.
I think Albon is like the perfect teammate to have in Red Bull. He kind of does everything that Gasly like wasn't able to do at Red Bull. Because the main problem for Gasly wasn't necessarily that his qualifying pace wasn't the best, but it seemed like he didn't have enough confidence to be able to fight with that car through the grid. Whereas Albon has demonstrated in the same car last year that he was able to like come through the grid and like actually like be confident with the car. So I'd stick with Albon, just to like keep the stability in the team, because if they switch out the drivers and put Gasly in there again, it's just going to happen. The same thing's going to happen again. I think just keeping some sort of stability would be better overall.
Yeah, I feel like they've already like it's kind of done now, in the sense that like I think they'll keep Albon unless like something catastrophic happens with his performances. You know, knock on wood. I feel like Kvyat is kind of out of like the conversation, even though he was outperforming Albon in the Toro Rosso last year.
I don't know. It kind of
if you looked at like,
depends on the way you look at it, because like Albon was definitely able to fight better with that car during the race, but I think overall qualifying Kvyat was better.
Yeah, and I don't know. He's had like more highlight race performances, you could say.
Yeah.
Obviously, I feel like Gasly's performance in that Red Bull was so bad. I don't think Red Bull ever want to go there again. Because consider it like this: Gasly was getting lapped while Max was fighting for podiums. If you think about it. And it's kind of like a messed up situation, because like now they just have 3 drivers just stuck in limbo, and like they're all like looking over like their shoulder, and Helmut Marko is just walking around with a pistol, like ready to like kick them out. Whenever something goes wrong. I feel like Helmut Marko is like, he's always done this. Like he's always favored one driver. I feel like when he was with Vettel, Vettel was like the star that could never do anything wrong. You know, they'd always favor Vettel and stuff. I feel like now it's like that with Verstappen. I don't know if they have like a vendetta against Australians with Ricardo and Mark Webber, but I feel like Helmut Marko is similar to how Ferrari are, in the sense that he wants a driver and a B driver, which I can understand for like drivers' championships and stuff, because like it does like make a clear cut decision like who's gonna get everything or whatever. It's kind of cool.
Like for me, like I've always like Red Bull's like always been Red Bull's always been like my favorite team, I'd say, overall, because like we like secret, like we grew up like in Milton Keynes, so like I would say like being close to that area is just like always like, don't know, I've just always had like, I used to like live really close to where the factory is, so like I don't know, I've just had a close bond with that team, and I just like the culture of that team. Like Albon and Verstappen are like my favorite drivers overall, I would say. And it kind of like switches between like who's my preferred one, because like I like Albon because like the stories he had to get into F1 and to get into Red Bull was just so amazing that I just think that he's just a really good. I think like he's definitely underrated personally. He definitely should have had wins by now, like a Brazil or Austria this year. And I think that if he was in the right team, I feel like he could definitely be like a race-winning driver. And I also really like Verstappen. Obviously, I'd say he's definitely the second best driver behind Lewis, and just the way that he drives the car and so aggressive but like he's like smart now about the way that he's aggressive. Like in 2018, I wasn't a fan of Verstappen because he just did like a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah.
But then he's grown a lot now, so I quite like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think that's everything to say about Red Bull. But I guess it's time to talk about Ferrari.
Okay.
Weekly segment, I guess.
Do you want to start or should I start?
I'll just say quickly that there was this meme going around on Twitter where it was like they put like an Instagram picture of like the engineers with Charles on the top, and then there was just like a picture of Vettel like on the bottom half.
Uh-huh.
And like people on Twitter were like putting like it was like where the kid's drowning and then like the dads would like holding the kid. And, yeah. Yeah, that's what I feel like this race is like. It's just so clear now how toxic the relationship with Vettel has become. I feel like it's kind of gotten worse than it was with Alonso when he left Ferrari.
Yeah. I don't know, Ferrari. I don't want to be like, oh, they screwed Vettel in this race because he did spin. But at the same time, he did like recover. He recovered to where he started. During his first stint, they boxed him he started on hard tires because he qualified outside the top 10. He then boxed for another set of hard tires, only stayed on them for 10 laps, then boxed for mediums and stayed on those for 20 laps. So I don't want to be like, oh, they screwed this guy out of like points, because I do feel like they want him to definitely finish in points because it does help them.
Yeah.
But it is kind of questionable why you would put him on the mediums when the hards are the best tires. It's questionable why you'd put him on the mediums for 20 laps when the hard is the best tires, and then you put him on the hard tires for 10 laps only. And it is questionable how you boxed him when he told you, I don't want to be boxed, the tires feel good, and he comes out in traffic. And basically, obviously, you know F1, like how if you come out in traffic, your tires are basically dead after like 5 laps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's just a lot of things going on. Like, you look at Leclerc's strategy, he did a one-stop. He pulled out a very nice one-stop, like, all credit to him. He performed amazingly. Coming fourth in that car is actually very impressive, you know?
Yeah.
But then I look at Vettel's side and I'm just like, what is going on here? Because in my opinion, well, actually, in everyone's opinion, it's not like, oh, Vettel this season just came in, just decided, oh, I'm going to be shit this season. I think he'd be like that kind of guy, you know? And I don't think he's suddenly lost all talent in that car, because there's something wrong with that car. And I feel like he hasn't had any significant practice time apart from Hungary and maybe like the first Austrian race. These 2 Silverstone races, his car is like broken down in free practice. And
yeah.
And now we're just like all wondering like what is going on. Obviously
Ferrari said that they're switching out the chassis for Spain. We'll see if that has any effect. I don't know if it will, but yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll say that Leclerc has just like been absolutely maximizing that car. Like to get 4th place in that car is just unbelievable. But
and 2 podiums.
But there's no way that the pace gap between those 2 drivers is as extreme as it's been shown right now.
Yeah, it really bothers me because I feel like they're not. I don't know. They might say, "Oh, we want the best for him" or whatever. I just feel like they're not giving him, not like equal opportunity, but just not helping him or like setting him up to succeed. Because it was quite clear in that race, just by if you just look at the Mercedes tires management, it's quite clear this is a 2-stop race, right? Even though, and literally everyone was most people were 2-stopping. Some people might eke out a 1-stop, like Leclerc, who's in, coincidentally the same car. I feel like Vettel should have just gone long, because he did start on the hard tires. Should have just gone long, should have just maxed out those tires as quickly as much as possible. See where he's at, hit for the mediums, and just see like what he's able to do, because the hard tires were significantly better than the mediums, and no one touched the softs. And they discussed before the race, oh, we don't want to come out in traffic, and then they put him out in traffic. So it's like a question of like, what are we really doing here? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if I was Vettel, I would be just as upset as he was. You know.
Yeah.
He has every right to be upset, even though, like, you could be like, oh, he swung on the first lap, all of this, da 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 da. Like, even if you spin on the first lap, it doesn't give your team the right to mess up your strategy. You know?
Yeah. I feel like Ferrari's like a toxic enough team that just because they dropped him for next year, they're just not prioritizing at all this year. Like, I feel like they're like that petty of a team.
Yeah.
Because like they're just like so like wrapped up in like, they're just so big headed about being Ferrari that I feel like it's like if you're not in the team fully, it's like, oh, we just don't care about you.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate, because I feel like, you know, now people are asking questions of like, oh, is he gonna stay till the end of the season? All of this.
Yeah, that's the big question now, is whether the driver changes for next year are gonna be moved forward to like halfway through the season, and Ferrari is the like first domino. So if that first domino falls, all the other dominoes are gonna fall into place. I think it really comes down to whether Vettel actually finds any worth in that team. Personally, I think that if he gets an Aston Martin contract, he's gonna take the rest of this season off and then come back for next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. I think he's the type of driver to finish the season. I can't imagine him even if he was given an excuse to not finish the season, I feel like he would. You know, just for I don't know. But if he's not enjoying racing and not like enjoying that team, then
I don't think he is.
Yeah, he definitely isn't. Like, I don't know, he's transitioning like to driver engineer at this point. Like,
yeah,
he's trying to fix his own car. Like last time out, it was like
it's one man band.
Literally, last time out, it was him trying to fix his pedals. This time, when the oil leak happened, he was like looking at what type of oil it was underneath the car and examining it, like he was some professor or whatever. So, like, if your driver has to do that, then your team is basically cursed, to be honest.
Yeah. So, could you see him moving to Racing Point before the end of the season and see like all the other like Sainz, Ricciardo, Alonso like before the end of the season?
No, I don't think that would.
No,
I don't think that would happen. In my opinion, I feel like most people will just stay put in their car and just finish off the season with that car.
Yeah.
I feel like Vettel, if he signs the Aston Martin contract, I feel like he'll just finish his time with Ferrari. Even though it may be beneficial for everyone to just hop into the car that they're going to be in next year.
Yeah, it's like whether like Ferrari might not even want him in the car that season, like for the rest of the season. Yeah,
no, if I don't know, it depends, because I don't. It's like a conflict of interest in the sense that some drivers may want to join the team that they're on, and some drivers may just want to some drivers may want to join the team that they're going to, and some drivers may just want to finish their time at their
It's
respective
like, would
style.
Sainz even want to come? Would Sainz even want to go to Ferrari right now? I don't even know.
Yeah, that is a question. You know, I feel like Alonso might want to get into that car
Yeah, definitely.
as soon as possible. You know, there's always a question of is he going to do like a free practice session that car?
Yeah,
Obviously Daniel Ricciardo has like been asked about that, and he has said he doesn't want to give his car up for a free practice
yeah,
session. So I don't know. If Vettel leaves and Ferrari gets Sainz, I feel like it might just be like, oh, let's just do this. Um, let's just get our driver for next year, and everyone just gets their drivers for next year.
yeah,
I don't think there'd be any complaints. But that's just in the ideal world. I don't think any team wants to give each other like an advantage. If
yeah,
that makes sense, I feel like that's the main thing.
yeah,
Because if you put Alonso in a car now, it's just not. It's not ideal for everyone else, is it?
yeah, yeah. That's definitely true.
Like,
Um,
yeah, just give Alonso.
well, I guess.
Yeah,
What were you gonna say?
I said yeah, just give Alonso practice time because that we know
Yeah,
that'll end well for everyone.
yeah. I think the last example that we saw of this was in 2017 when Red Bull and Renault and Honda sort of made that sort of triple way like switch when they were switching out Carlos Sainz, and they were like Red Bull giving up Renault engines in exchange for like Honda engines from McLaren, and we saw that Sainz went into the Renault early, and Toro Rosso switched out their drivers a bunch of times. So there's definitely a precedent for that, or sort of setting up a team before the end of the season for the next season.
Yeah,
So it's not out of the realm of possibility for me, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Like teams might not want to give up their drivers because it'll be like an advantage for other teams in the next season.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I guess like the wider question is like there hasn't been that much news about the Aston Martin contract come out yet.
yeah,
It's like we don't even fully know if he will actually be in the Aston Martin, because I think it's clear now that the Aston Martin seat is the only seat that he can go to.
yeah, yeah.
Aston, Alfa Romeo, Williams, that's not going to happen.
Then
And Renault has already been taken, so
I would like to say there was like a rumor going around saying that they were going to announce the contract being signed, but because Perez caught COVID, it would have been just a bit, you know,
yeah,
would have been like a kick in the teeth. Yeah, I feel like it is obvious now that if he signs for Aston Martin, it's going to be him and Stroll instead of him and Perez, which is kind of
you think?
yeah. I feel
Or is that what the rumor mill has been saying?
yeah. I feel like it's kind of clear now that it's going to be either Perez or Stroll and Vettel. I don't know. I feel like Vettel just needs to put in like more consistent performances, and they'll just sign him up like that. I feel like maybe now they might have a few doubts, you know.
Yeah.
But
If they keep Stroll for next year, I'll be disappointed. But if they keep him from the year after, I'm writing off that team, because if they're not willing to make like, if Lance Stroll is not able to like separate himself to like do what is actually like the best business and sporting decision,
yeah,
I can't like. You would never hear like someone like Toto Wolff doing something like that at Mercedes.
yeah,
Or like you would never hear like Christian Horner doing something like that at Red Bull. So it's like if they actually want to be like a winning mentality team, they have to make that the right decision. And keeping Stroll isn't like the right decision, because we saw this weekend that Nico Hulkenberg was able to match Stroll in the car. So
Nico Hulkenberg outqualified Stroll by a significant margin. Imagine Stroll. Has Stroll ever been on the second line of the grid? I don't think so. Like I'm just saying that off.
He was second place at 2017 Italy, but that was a wet qualifying.
Okay, that doesn't really.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
That doesn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't really count.
Doesn't really count if it's wet. I don't know. Maybe we're just nitpicking. It may look like we're nitpicking,
Yeah.
but he was out qualified by Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
Majority of the race, he was behind Hulkenberg. He wasn't able to get past him, and the team pit Hulkenberg, which was very questionable. Hulkenberg was on a 3-stop strategy for some reason, and they just pit him for some. I don't know, maybe to get fastest lap, but then he didn't get fastest lap. Yeah, and then he came out behind Lance. So I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like it may not say this on the final like timestamps and stuff, but I do definitely feel like Hulkenberg got the better of him that weekend.
Yeah. And I don't feel like you can say what you will about Nico Hulkenberg, but like I feel like if Lance Stroll was deserving of that seat, he would be like like at least like 10 seconds, like significantly far further ahead than Hulkenberg during the race, and obviously like out qualifying him because he's had so much more experience in the car,
Yeah,
and he had last weekend as well, like race pace and to practice over
yeah,
Hulkenberg, and Hulkenberg was still able to um match him. So I don't know if that says more about Lance Stroll or whether it says more about Nico Hulkenberg, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I will say, obviously, I wouldn't expect. I don't know. I might not expect him to like finish 10 seconds ahead of him, like down the road or anything like that, because 10 seconds is kind of significant. But I would expect you to beat them on track off merit,
Yeah,
not due to them having an extra pit stop.
yeah,
If you imagine it, they had an extra pit stop and they only finished one place behind you. It does kind of, it is like a bit like, you know, um,
yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if it was like a Stroll Vettel lineup. Obviously, I would prefer Vettel Perez lineup. But if it was a Stroll Vettel lineup, I wouldn't be too upset because I feel like Lance Stroll can develop. He is still young. He's only 21. I think that's his only saving grace. If he was like 30, if he was like 27 now, I feel like he'd have no place in F1. So yeah,
yeah. It's fair enough, I guess, but I don't know. But if you just look at it overall, I feel like Vettel Perez is just undeniably better than
yeah,
Vettel Stroll.
yeah. I will say that his only saving grace is
Yeah,
that he's 9 years younger than both of them.
yeah,
But
um,
that's the thing though. Like these guys are significantly more experienced, and that's what you need in like a race-winning car.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Because Perez has had podiums, he does know what it feels like to like fight for race like podium, not race wins, but like podiums and stuff. And I just, even though Stroll has had a podium, I don't feel like I don't feel like he has it. I don't think
yeah,
I don't feel like he's performed in one race where I look at him and I'm like, that was a special performance. He's like one for the future, you know. I always say one for the
yeah,
future, you know, because I've got the eagle eye. You know, I see like
yeah,
what someone does. I'm like, this one's one for the future, you know, because like,
yeah. After I tell you about them in F2, though.
yeah, no, no, no. I flipping the one I was sold on most was Perez, but like, I feel like McLaren screwed him over. Um,
Yeah,
I was sold on Ricardo, but like, it wasn't like I wasn't like, oh yeah, this guy's sick. It's like, oh okay. You know,
yeah,
some drivers they show me something and I'm like, okay, this guy is something else.
yeah.
Um,
Um, but yeah, anyway, like staying on like the point about Racing Point was how did you feel about like Hulkenberg actually be able to like? I feel like the first weekend was sort of just thrown in the bin for Hulkenberg. Like he got drafted in like on the Thursday or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a really close turnaround, and I don't feel like he really fully settled in that team.
Yeah.
But this weekend was like a better demonstration of what Hulkenberg was able to do.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people on Twitter talking like, "Oh, Hulkenberg should definitely be in F1 and all this," but like when he was in F1, everyone was complaining that, "Oh, Hulkenberg's just a midfield driver. When's he gonna get a podium?" Blah blah blah. So it's just like kind of annoyed at people just like talking about him all the time. I feel
Yeah.
like he should have got the Haas seat last year.
Definitely.
But I don't think he does. Like, there's any other seat that I would really put him in personally.
This is the thing about F1. It's not about, you never truly judged off just pure talent, if that makes sense. There's other circumstances that goes into it. Like for example, Nico Hulkenberg is like 30, I believe. Um,
Yeah,
you know, he's solidified himself as like a midfield driver. Not that that's a knock against him or anything, but he is just a solid driver that can really like grind out decent results for you. You know, he can get an occasional fourth place, but most of the time he's fifth to eighth. That's his range. You know.
yeah,
So like, if you're a midfield team and you want a guy that'll get you fifth to eighth, Nico Hulkenberg is your guy. But then there's people on the track that might offer something different. You know, for example, if you look at Antonio Giovinazzi, I would not say that he's a better driver than Nico Hulkenberg. He's not, but he would.
yeah, definitely not.
But he, for example, is an Italian driver on an Italian named team, not an Italian team, but an Italian named team. That is in a Ferrari academy. So it does strengthen Alpha and Ferrari's relationship, for example. You know? If you look at like someone else on the grid, for example, Ocon, or like, you know, Ocon, I would say Ocon is like, I would take Ocon over Hulkenberg just due to the fact that he is younger. He has shown a lot of promise, and he is like, he has the potential to become like a race winner, maybe one day challenge for a championship if he's in the right car.
Yeah,
So if you want to be on a, if you want a guy on your team that will really push the car to the limit, maybe you'll take Ocon over Hulkenberg, because I've never really seen Hulkenberg push a car like to like truly what it can do, you know.
yeah,
Because as I said, he's a fifth to eighth kind of guy. So like, it depends on like what the team needs. A team like Haas, I would say Hulkenberg is like perfect for, you know, especially
yeah,
an older version of Haas, not the current version where they're finishing like 16th or 17th. An older version of Haas, if Hulkenberg was in that car, he'd just be putting in like 7th place, 6th place, 5th place, 8th place, like consistently, like every single race, and they just get a nice haul of points from him. You know, like,
yeah,
you could argue that's what Grosjean was doing before he got kind of washed.
yeah,
So I feel like he was the natural replacement for him. So like, that's the issue with F1. They don't.
yeah,
It's not. If they just pick the best 20 possible F1 drivers, Hulkenberg would definitely be in there, right? But then I feel like there's other circumstances that goes into picking a certain driver for a certain team.
yeah. I mean, like, that obviously brings up the question of why Hulkenberg wasn't brought in this year to Haas. The obvious one is Magnussen, Hulkenberg, obvious rivalry there. And also apparently it came out that Hulkenberg was asking for too much money. and
Yeah.
Haas are obviously set up to be a team that operates on a smaller budget. So, yeah, but I could definitely see them bringing in an F2 junior for next year into Haas and bring Hulkenberg in and replacing Kevin Magnussen and Grosjean.
Yeah, I would say that they're definitely going to keep one of those two, because I feel like the way Haas operate, they're like very loyal to their drivers.
Yeah,
Because I don't think any other team would have kept Grosjean as long as Haas have kept Grosjean. No,
yeah, no way.
because if you look at like old Lotus, when he was on Lotus, he was performing really well for that team. So like it was warranted for him to be on that team for a long time. But I feel like whenever he first came into Haas, the first year and the second year were like the 2 years where he's really performed, really gotten everything out of that car that he could possibly get out of, you know. But then
Yeah,
recently, I feel like he's just faltered off, like fallen off a little bit, and I just don't feel like he wants to be in F1.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely his last year. But I do feel like they will keep Magnussen. I feel like they love Magnussen.
yeah,
And Magnussen, I feel like, is a very, very good driver. You know,
yeah. It's kind of like if I was like just like looking out from the looking in from the outside. It's like I feel like if they were a bit more like they're kind of like the opposite of Red Bull, like we were saying before. Like I feel like if they were a bit more aggressive with their drivers, they could do a lot more.
yeah, yeah,
Like if they bring in a junior driver, like they've never brought in a junior driver before. They've always had like experienced drivers in their car. If they had like, I don't see Magnussen as like an amazing driver personally. I feel like Hulkenberg would be better than Magnussen, and I feel like it would be good to have like a young driver in there as well.
yeah, yeah. I
Like
can understand that.
Like it's not that Magnussen is bad. It's just that he's kind of like just not like doing anything amazing for me.
Or it just crashes into other people's cars a bit too much. No,
Now Magnussen doesn't even do that like that much like I'd say that it was more Grosjean.
when you see Magnussen cause a swerve someone off the road, you're not surprised, are you? Just tell me.
I would say I'm more surprised than if it was Grosjean. Like if it's Grosjean, I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. But if it's Magnussen, I'll be like, no, what's going on?
I feel like Magnussen's a very robust driver, as David Coulthard says. Now, I feel like he's a very I feel like he's a very good defensive driver. So like he'll hold a position for like extra. He'll hold a position like 5 laps longer than it should have been held. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe if they want to develop a better car, maybe Hulkenberg's the better option. I feel like Hulkenberg does do well developing cars, you know. But
yeah, like we saw at Renault.
Yeah, we saw at Renault. Where was he before Renault? Force India. Yeah, it was they made a decent car at Force India, so it's not like. But I don't feel like they would cut Magnussen off, you know. I feel like the best option for them, in my opinion, the best option for them is either to get Hulkenberg and Magnussen, if Hulkenberg is willing to go there.
Yeah.
If they can't do that, just get a junior driver from the Ferrari Academy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just pair him with Magnussen. Because I feel like either way, even if Grosjean doesn't retire now, I feel like they should just stop whatever they're doing with him. I don't know how long is left on his contract, but I feel like they should just try.
I've been saying that since like 2018.
Yeah.
So
in the past I've been saying, I'd kind of need Grosjean, you know, for the safety cars and shit as a joke. But like now it's like getting serious. Like this guy needs to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was kind of like staying on the Hulkenberg point was like Ross Brawn came out saying like Hulkenberg is our second choice for when Schumacher retired behind Hamilton. I'm not sure like that would have been interesting to see how that would have went, because obviously Hulkenberg was at Sauber. No, he went to Sauber from Force India after that year, and I'm not too sure how well I'd like believe it, because I feel like they're kind of like just saying it because like he's come back and it's kind of like just a nice thing to say. But I sort of saw something later on about people were saying that at the end of 2016, Hulkenberg already signed for Renault when Rosberg retired. So like people are saying like oh, if Rosberg told Mercedes, oh, I might retire, Mercedes might have signed Hulkenberg for 2017.
Yeah. I feel like
I'm not sure how valid that is, but
I feel like that's definitely would have been a possibility. You know, if you compare Hulkenberg and Bottas, you know, at the time, I don't think you would have been like too fussy over who you get. I feel like they signed Bottas to be a second driver. I feel like they would have done the same for Hulkenberg. So I don't feel like Mercedes were too like, oh my god, we need to sign this guy or this guy, you know? So
yeah.
I feel like they just took Bottas because he was the best available driver at the time, and they paid off Williams like a bunch. If they really wanted Hulkenberg, I feel like they could have got him. So
yeah,
I don't know how like true that is. I feel like they would have signed Hulkenberg if he was a free agent, because Bottas still was under contract.
Yeah. Just a quick side note, I just thought it was interesting. Like, we always like look back on these drivers and see how stuff will go. Same with Perez, if he didn't go to McLaren.
Yeah, the thing is about Perez, I don't feel like he had anywhere to go, any top team. He was never going to get decency out of top team anyway. If you look at like see, that's what happens when you come after a golden generation.
But so the next this week is literally like, it's like we could have like not had a race and we would have had this topic to talk about, is like the whole like Racing Point saga with the brake ducts. I feel like we kind of like have to like
we have to backtrack,
like the humble pie on this one. Like,
that really,
we go back to like a prior episode of us being like, wow, Renault's so dumb, look at these guys complaining.
Oh fuck Renault, they're so shit. No, but I will say, I just want to say this, like, when we were ranting about Renault, we weren't aware of the rear brake ducts being the main problem. Because we did know that the front brake ducts were like that, they were perfectly legal, and then all of a sudden it comes out, the rear brake ducts weren't legal, and it's just like, I don't know, it kind of makes us all look like makes us both look like a bit stupid. Racing Point, they kind of set us
I don't know, like, personally, I don't really agree with the rule, like, about the brake ducts thing. That doesn't change the fact that the evidence has come out and Racing Point should have been given a penalty for doing that. 15 points in the drivers' standing.
Constructors.
Constructors, I mean, and 400,000
euros
in 400,000 euros. So Ferrari, Renault, McLaren, Haas as well, I think, have all come out protesting like that the penalty didn't go far enough.
Williams as well.
No, Williams are basically siding with like Mercedes and Racing Point, because Williams are okay with it apparently. Because what Mercedes are saying.
McLaren have also stepped down their protest.
Oh yeah,
So it's just literally Ferrari, Renault. Yeah, just Ferrari and Renault that are taking this to court.
yeah, yeah. So if like it's kind of weird, like F1 are a bit lenient with these like sort of technical things. Like it seems like even if you have like even though the racing point is technically illegal now,
Yeah.
it's like they haven't really suffered like a major consequence for like running an illegal car like you might think.
Mm. Um, I have like done a decent amount of research on this and looked at it. Um, I don't know because I'm kind of conflicted because I've always said, copying another car has been a part of F1, if that makes sense. But
Yeah,
copying a car is completely different to being given parts that are illegal. So that is the part that makes me feel a bit conflicted.
yeah,
Obviously, I don't want to see a grid of like one Ferrari, one Renault, one Red Bull, and one McLaren, and then the rest Mercedes. You know,
yeah,
obviously that would probably never happen. I think that's just an over exaggeration that everyone else is saying. Yeah, I feel like if the part is illegal, it needs to go. But then, how do you take away? Do they have like spare brake ducts or like how would that work? Because
yeah. That's the thing is like you can't take away the knowledge of the brake ducts that they already have.
yeah,
So it's like how are you supposed to properly penalize them?
yeah, I feel like that's an issue. That's the issue. It feels like just like a wing end plate that was a bit too like big or whatever. You just have to take it away or make it smaller, and it's like a move on. Like similar to what Renault had like a few years ago. They had a issue with one of their parts, and they got disqualified from the race, and they took the part away, and they weren't able to use that part again. I feel like that's what
Yeah,
Renault is. Their main issue is, obviously the conflicting, obviously the different types of punishments that they both received. Because Renault wants a clear and obvious punishment. McLaren and Williams went into wanted every constructor to like develop their own car and not have like obvious like copycats and stuff. So like now that they've wiped that from the rules next year, I feel like that's why they've stopped their protest. So, but mainly
yeah,
Renault and Ferrari just want a harsher punishment, and they want these parts taken away.
yeah.
Which I can understand,
Um,
but then at the same time,
yeah. It's like I think the problem is like oh, you could just like break the rules, pay the fine, and like take a quick point deduction, and then you might get like a way faster car, so it wouldn't
yeah,
even matter.
yeah,
I think like that's the problem, I guess.
yeah. Like I feel like if it was another team that did this, for example, if Ferrari did this, I feel like the whole grid would be like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous," type shit.
Yeah,
But then because it's Racing Point and like Mercedes is one of the teams, and then Mercedes was like, "Oh no, what they did is legal," and then coincidentally, Williams, which receives Mercedes engines, and McLaren, which are receiving Mercedes engines next year, both stopped their protests after they got part of what they wanted. So
yeah,
I find that quite funny.
yeah. So, um, like what's sort of been talking about now is that surely Mercedes are also just as liable in this as Racing Point.
Yeah.
Because Mercedes have kind of given an advantage to a lower team that has like affected some of their rivals.
Yeah, I believe the part was given to them last year, which is why they.
Well, yeah, the front brake ducts were the rear brake ducts came in 2020 apparently January or February is what I'm hearing.
Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah,
Oh, I thought that they got the parts last year, but they didn't use those particular brake ducts. Then
Mm.
and then
Oh,
and then since they already had them, they just stuck them on the car and
yeah,
used them. So then they thought that since that they got the parts before the rule change, that they didn't actually break any rules,
yeah,
which is technically a loophole. But then I feel like the FIA should have just said what they did is legal and not punish them, or just gone
yeah,
like full out and just like punish them very severely. You can't do this
yeah,
50-50 type stuff. You know? I feel like they either have to like
yeah,
tell them, oh, you have to go back to the rear brake ducts you had last year and you can't develop it, or you have to take it off and you can't use that brake ducts and you have this fine and you have this point deduction, and then everyone would have been happy.
yeah. I feel like
Everyone would have been happy.
they should. The only like thing that everyone would have been like happy about, apart from Racing Point, would be like if Racing Point were like fully removed from the constructors' championship for like the act of like sharing data with Mercedes. I think.
Yeah, but then you'd have to do that to Mercedes as well,
I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
which then
Um.
would, I don't know. I don't feel like they could punish Mercedes. Like, actually, they could, but I don't feel like they would.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Mercedes
Um.
and Racing Point would both go to court and get it sorted out.
Yeah. It's probably. Yeah. What you were saying before about like the FAA are talking about like banning like copying and stuff like that. I don't really know how. I haven't like read up fully about this, but like I don't know how it's gonna work because I don't see how you can have a regulation that says your car looks like another car. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be. Obviously, there's different aerodynamic philosophies that many teams follow. Um,
Yeah.
because like if you look at Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, um, the so-called big teams, you will see like a clear aerodynamic difference. I feel like it's going to be more. I feel like with these smaller teams, if that's actually a rule, you won't be able to see like, oh, a Haas looking like last year's Ferrari or anything like that ever again.
Yeah.
Which is all right. I feel like copying a car's, you know, one part of the car. I feel like that'll be. I feel like you can get away with that. But like copying like the whole, philosophy of a entire car is like virtually impossible now.
Yeah. I think like what's important to note here is that this is none of this. I think what I was wrong about in saying that the problem with the penalties is that it's not a technical. The car is not technically illegal.
Yeah.
It's a sporting regulation about transferring data.
Mm.
So, like what I'm reading here is that they're talking about saying it's going to be part of the sporting regulations that they can't use photo data,
Okay.
photographs to model their cars or something like that. I hate when the FAI does this when they're basically just reacting to stuff that happens and then they just bodge job these rules in. Like it never works, and something always goes wrong. And there's going to be a controversy about it because someone else is going to do it, and there's going to be a whole like story about, oh, is this part of this regulation or whatever. So
Yeah. I don't know. It is like very iffy, like how you look at it. Because if you look at it from one perspective, what they did is kind of, oh, that's just not fair. But then if you look at it from another
yeah,
perspective, what they did is perfectly legal. So
yeah,
it just depends on like what stance you want to take and how you want to look at it. So
yeah. It's like if they didn't transfer any data from Mercedes, I would have been like, it would have been completely fine in my mind. Like,
yeah,
if you want to base a car based on photos, I don't think there's any problem with that.
yeah. I feel like car photocopying or whatever. I feel like teams have like always done that. Like, oh, this front wing end plate is really effective in creating more downforce, and they like copy it. You know, I feel like even the big teams like kind of copy each other, even though they might not want to say it. I think F1 is all about, getting inspiration from other teams is a big part of the sport and very important. But like copying an entire car's philosophy might be too far after like reading up on this and like seeing how like unfair it is now. Because I feel like if this, I feel like cars, the slower cars or the smaller teams or whatever would have already started developing, copies of like last year's faster cars after seeing what Racing Point did, and now it's banned.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Yeah.
if this wasn't like cleared up and like gotten rid of, we might have seen like 3 Ferraris, 4 Red Bulls, and like 6 Mercedes. I mean, so yeah.
But like, I don't necessarily see that as a major problem though.
I don't know. It depends on like what direction you want the sport to go in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't mind all the cars looking the same, then like it doesn't really matter to you. But like, I kind of want like team independence rather than interdependence. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want like everyone to try and innovate their own stuff. But then the thing is with innovating, like even if you're like the first one to innovate something, someone's gonna copy you. So it doesn't really matter what you do.
Yeah. Or the FAA would just ban it the next year.
Yeah. So
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's about everything in terms of news. I guess like only thing left to say is like what we think about going into Spain this weekend.
Are they going to use the softer compounds this weekend or just the normal?
I haven't seen anything about it.
I'm just going to assume they.
What I do know about Spain is that it's going to be super hot apparently. And
okay.
Sort of judging from the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, I'd say that would definitely advantage Red Bull.
Yeah, I feel like Mercedes are definitely like. I feel like they fixed it now. Whatever's going on,
Maybe.
Or
we'll have to see.
Or they just have to move on. I feel like historically Mercedes have never dealt well enough with tire degradation and heat. But I do feel like it's going to be a Mercedes 1-2 though, even though they're going to struggle.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think it's going to be a 2-stop race for Mercedes, but I feel like they'll still win just off sheer pace. I'd say like...
Yeah.
Say... Actually, I'm going to predict Bottas wins this one and Hamilton comes second and Verstappen comes third.
Yeah.
Fastest lap, I'll say, is going to be Hamilton. F1.5, I'll say Stroll, Ricardo Perez. Got a feeling about Stroll. And fastest lap, I'll say Norris.
Yeah. I feel like the temperature is going to play a major role this weekend, and I feel like especially in the midfield it could like completely like throw out the the running order but yeah, I feel like I'm gonna say it's like with Catalonia, the high speed corners, I feel like that should benefit Red Bull more. Because like a Red Bull, no, with Red Bull we saw like at Silverstone that they were a lot faster than at Hungary. They weren't really that good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'll say Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. No, I'll say Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc. Then fastest lap, Verstappen, and then F1.5. I'm gonna say Gasly,
Ooh.
Norris, and then Perez. Fastest lap, Perez, I guess. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, there's something weird about this season. Like, it feels more difficult to predict this season than any other season for me. Even though like Mercedes are so dominant.
Yeah.
It's like
the midfield are like so
I don't know, I feel
close.
like yeah, the midfield especially, and I feel like even last year, like there were certain races like that we knew that Mercedes might not be so good here. Red Bull are going to be better. Especially like the American races and like some of the Asian races, which we don't have this year.
Yeah. I feel like if a lot of, it's interesting to see how they'll deal with Bahrain or Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Especially if they have some ridiculous track temperature. Hopefully they do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're still waiting to get like a confirmation for the end of the season. Imola is in November. It's going to be super interesting seeing like European races going all the way into November. But yeah, like we still haven't been confirmed like when the actual season's going to finish.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to these wet races.
Yeah. I feel it seems like the season's going to run into at least December now.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. More F1.
Yeah.
Better.
I don't know if they should do like a double header. Like, I feel like they're going to do a double header at Bahrain and then just have one at Abu Dhabi after Imola.
Yeah.
It's like 3 races in a row, so they're going to skip a week and then do 3 races in a row. But yeah,
I feel like
it might be like the first season where like we won't have like 2 weeks off.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like been super crammed in.
I hope they do that second Bahrain track.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
That'll be so interesting to see.
I feel like this season is just
Mercedes will just blitz that track though. So like, the straights are so long.
I feel like this season is just a fuck it season and just put anything on the calendar type shit.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if like any other like country gets like COVID shit like and a race gets cancelled, we might be seeing roundabouts on tracks and stuff, you know? We might have a race in Milton Keynes or something ridiculous like that. So
yeah.
So like I feel like that Bahrain track, I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. Have you do you have the link to that? Like we can put it in the description.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could just like I'll put in like video or something.
Yeah, so like
background.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. If that was part of the track or whatever. Or
yeah.
Yeah,
so I don't think that I don't know if like November is so late that I don't think they're gonna go to China this year.
Yeah. Hopefully not though, because I don't feel like China needs to be seen. They don't need to see China, bro. After everything.
Yeah.
They didn't deserve a race.
Maybe ever in F1.
I don't know, the track's decent. It's average. Just that Malaysia.
Yeah, but China's just like, ugh.
It's just that Malaysia's so much better.
Yeah.
That's just the issue.
Yeah.
If we never saw Malaysia, like the track, and we just had China, I thought it'd be like, oh, this is a pretty good track. But it's just that Malaysia's just Malaysia used to be the one that was before it as well on the calendar back in the day.
Yeah.
And it used to be like, oh, this is just a shit version of Malaysia. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's about everything. Indy 500 after Spanish Grand Prix.
Really?
I'm getting pretty excited for that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're going to see Nando in there.
Huh?
Might see Alonso in there getting the W.
Is
You never
Alonso
know.
is Alonso racing in
Yeah.
He's actually.
Yep.
Oh, I might tune into that then. Not
Yeah.
normally one to watch Indy 500, but if Alonso is there, I'll watch it. You need to see him, win that glass of milk shit,
Yeah. I think like the Indy 500 is up there with like is probably better than 90% of F1 races, like on average, I would say.
But how many cars are in the Indy 500?
33.
I feel like there's 300 or something ridiculous. I don't know. It just feels like there's so much on the track.
Yeah. It's just like the strategy and like the drafting and
It's like a ridiculous amount of laps, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 200 laps.
Cool. The Piston Cup. It reminds me of the Piston Cup,
Yeah. Yeah.
If a race isn't as good as a Piston Cup, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, that's about everything. It's super hot in the UK.
Yeah. So I'm gonna die. Yes. This is my last appearance on the channel.
They should have waited to do the British Grand Prix this weekend for all the thunderstorms.
Oh, that would have been so nice.
Yeah.
No, but they should.
Maybe in Spain.
I don't know. Maybe. They kind of fucked up in the sense that like we could have had like a whole wet calendar if we really wanted to. Like strategically positioning like all these races. Like, okay, we're doing a race in the UK in September. Let's do it. After March to August, there's no rain. Actually, no, there is rain because it was raining today. But you get it. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once it hits September, like onwards, until it gets to March, it's just rain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But except the days when F1 is on.
Yeah, except the days F1 is on, yeah.
But yeah, guess that's everything.
Alright.
We'll be back next week. Probably a really boring Spanish Grand Prix, but yeah.
If it's boring, I'm not tuning in. Well.
But yeah.
We'll try it.
Guess that's it.
Yeah, guess that's it.